He will complete his career resurrection in Washington. Let me get up higher, big dog.
Come on up
Everybody
here.
been talking down to me on social media. I'm not going to let you talk down to me on this set.
That's where we starting, huh?
Carson Wentz will complete his career resurrection in Washington. The first thing I just got to pose to everybody, which I'll pose to myself, name a top quarterback without a number one receiver. Tom Brady was top. Oh, Mike Evans. Aaron Rodgers was top. Oh, Devontae Adams. Josh Allen was top. Oh, Stephon Diggs. Matthew Stafford was top. Cooper Kupp. Name a top-flight quarterback without a top-flight receiver. You can't. So when you look at Carson Wentz and you're like, Carson Wentz ain't been good in ages, Acho. Well, Michael Pittman's not a number one receiver. Carson Wentz's 4 years as a primary starter in Philadelphia, his number one receiver wasn't a receiver. It was a tight end, Zach Ertz. So now you're going to give Carson Wentz, Scary Terry McLaurin, the only receiver in the NFC East that has over 1,000 yards the last 2 years. I do think Carson Wentz will complete his resurgence because you can't name a quarterback, a top-flight quarterback, without a top-flight receiver. And Carson Wentz, for the first time in his career, will have a true number one receiver in their prime. Eagles, please don't talk to me about Alshon Jeffrey. Y'all know that Alshon Jeffrey in Philly was not the same Alshon Jeffrey in Chicago. For the first time in Carson Wentz's career, he'll have a true number one receiver in his prime. What we know about quarterbacks, you can't be a bona fide quarterback if you ain't got a bona fide number one receiver. So maybe, just maybe, we'll see the same Carson Wentz of old, or maybe we'll see a 30-plus touchdown Carson Wentz, maybe a little bit better. I'm looking at Carson Wentz, and I'm like, you are in a great situation.
Okay.
You're going to a team, one of only 6 teams that had a 1,000-yard rusher, 1,000-yard receiver, Antonio Gibson. Shout out to him. So you're going to have a 1,000-yard rusher, 1,000-yard receiver. Beyond that, with Chase Young back, you're going to a team that has a dominant defense. So you're going to have a good defense, going to have a 1,000-yard rusher, going to have a 1,000-yard receiver, and you're going to have a coach that has been to a Super Bowl. I understand Ron Rivera has not won one, but you're going to have a coach that has been to one, a head coach that has been to one. Frank Wright, remember, went to a Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl as the Eagles' offensive coordinator. So, yeah, Wentz is going to resurrect his career. Here's what I just caution everybody watching. Please don't fall in line with groupthink. Oh, Wentz sucks, Acho. Based on what? If you just want to talk to me about the Jags game, yeah, that was bad. It's bad for a lot of people. Bad for the Colts offensive line. Terrible for the Colts defensive line. Wentz sucks, Acho. Based on what? Wentz only quarterback in NFL history, 4,000 yards in a season with no 500-yard receivers. Please, I challenge you, not during the show, but during commercial break, do your homework and do your research. Wentz leading receivers his rookie season. Zach Ertz, tight end, and Jordan Matthews, who's currently a tight end for the San Francisco 49ers. Wentz leading receiver sophomore season, Zach Ertz. Wentz leading receiver his third season, Zach Ertz. Wentz leading receiver his fourth season, Zach Ertz, and a QB convert, Greg Ward. Yet we act like Carson Wentz is just terrible. Also keep in mind, if the top quarterbacks is getting $50 million in Aaron Rodgers, then the $28 million that Carson Wentz is getting isn't even that crazy anymore. It was crazy when Wentz signed the deal 3 years ago. Make no mistake about it. Looking at Carson Wentz saying Carson Wentz one of the highest paid. But if Aaron Rodgers is number one and he's getting 50, and Carson Wentz, in my mind, is probably the 14th, 15th best quarterback in the league. So if Aaron Rodgers is getting 50, let's cut that $50 million number in half. Oh, it's about 25. What are Washington playing Carson Wentz? 28. Carson Wentz ain't even overpaid no more, y'all. The NFL quarterback market is robust. So can Carson Wentz resurrect his career in Washington? Not only can he will.
Okay. I'm sorry I giggled all the way through that.
I accept your apology.
Yeah, you had a lot of Trey and Boys in the Hood moments there. You were fighting the air. You were, social media. He ain't had a receiver. I asked you about Carson Wentz. Can he resurrect his career? And you went all around him. And you know why you did it? Because you know you can't focus in on Carson Wentz. Hell no, he can't resurrect his career in Washington. We asking this question again? What is he, Mr. Cut and Paste? Just remove, okay, Philadelphia. Let's put Indianapolis. No, white out. Remove Indianapolis. Let's put Commodores. Oh, my God, you asking this question a third time. This dude got 9 lives, man. I am tired of the ghost of the greatness of Carson Wentz. I am not invested in Carson Wentz if Carson Wentz is not invested in Carson Wentz.
He is.
No, he's not.
He is. Don't do that.
I'm going to do what I do.
Personal attacks.
No, performance attacks. I've never met Carson Wentz, and thank God, because I didn't need a shotgun for Christmas like everybody else got that year. We're going to talk about that, too, which told me a lot about him. Here's the thing about Carson Wentz. Hey, bro, I look at football, and I'm holding on to football. Track is staying pure. Track is the purest sport, the first sport.
Sir.
Track is going to stay pure. I ain't got to worry about track, but I got to worry about football, because they always try to rob it. They try to make it an empathetic sport. They try to take the meritocracy out of it. There are winners and there are losers.
Yes, sir.
I love football because it's a game of skill, but it's a greater game of will. Another grown man does not want to get knocked down, doesn't want to get knocked out. But my goal is to do that on every single play. And Carson Wentz right now, you've been knocked down, and I think you've been knocked out. Let's talk about Carson Wentz. I'm getting tired of talking about Carson Wentz, but let's do it.
Then get your rest. Get your rest.
No.
Okay? Because it ain't a Carson Wentz problem. It's a Marcellus Wiley problem.
No. It's a huge Carson Wentz problem. See, you got your first mistake, Trey. I'm going to call you Trey this block, swinging. Social media, you responded to the they. What are you and DJ Khaled talking? They. Who are you talking about, these they?
All of them.
Okay. Second of all, we asked you about one person. You talk about the entire roster. So let me tell you your third problem,
sir,
because you didn't want to address it. Why y'all think Carson Wentz sucks? I got evidence of why I think Carson Wentz sucks. Carson Wentz has been in the league since 2016, right? We look at Carson Wentz, and we put that 2017 season in the vacuum, and you got to give him his props. 11-2, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 101.9 passer rating. Carson Wentz. But then you look at the rest of his career, and you say, uh-oh, here comes the hammer. 33 and 38-1, you're a losing quarterback. 90 passer rating. Uh-oh, Carson Wentz. And 57 interceptions. Where'd they come from? Here's the thing. Starts to look like an anomaly. Baker Mayfield comes to mind.
I'm not going to do this with you.
You could do no. Eric Shank's going to make sure you stay in this seat for 90 minutes today. We're going to stay there today and talk about it. Since you want to bring it up, he's an anomaly when he's great. That's when it's like he's an exception. And he didn't even finish that deal. Carson Wentz has been asked, are you going to be a franchise quarterback? Then he gets injured. Carson Wentz is asked, are you a franchise quarterback? And then guess what? He can't respond to his backup taking his job. Carson Wentz is then in a position where a second rounder comes and takes his job. He's like, I don't know how to handle it. Carson Wentz is then put in a position where he's reunited and it feels so good. Frank Wright, are you supposed to be great? Oh, here's the marriage we talked about. Remember we asked the same question a year ago? How'd that go? So now he's going to the nation's capital, and I'm supposed to give a damn? Carson Wentz, bruh, you got to show me more for me to be invested.
Here's the problem, big dog. Y'all listening with your ears clogged. Carson Wentz's most impressive season was not even his MVP season, 33 touchdowns, 7 picks. That was not his most impressive season. We all just fall under group thinking we're like, oh, yeah, Carson Wentz's most impressive season. No, y'all.
Okay.
The man threw for 4,000 yards.
That's it?
Without a 500-yard receiver. You say that is it. There are several quarterbacks that ain't thrown for 4,000 yards. No,
and they sorry, too.
Without one 5,000-yard yard receiver. We talking about Carson Wentz as though he is sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have played in the National Football League, show of hands, please. Here's your hand here. There's a hand there. A couple hands watching this show.
What'd it do?
Y'all know how hard it is to throw for a touchdown in the league? It's hard. You know how hard it is to throw for 27 touchdowns in the league? Yeah, it's fairly difficult. You know how hard it is to throw for 27 touchdowns in the league without throwing for 10 or more interceptions? I don't know, because the only people that did it were Carson Wentz, Russell Wilson, Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers. So we're going to stop talking about Wentz as though he is sorry. Is he Tom Brady? No, y'all. But is Carson Wentz better than the rest of – is Carson Wentz better than about 14, 15 quarterbacks out there? Yeah. Carson Wentz is middle of the pack. And you can win with a middle of the pack guy if you got accessories around him. Here's what I'm not telling y'all.
Ooh.
Carson Wentz is middle of the pack without a number one receiver.
That's it.
You give Carson Wentz a number one receiver, and that is when I'm telling you Carson Wentz is going to show up. You ha-ha and kiki and you giggling, but I'm going to hit you where it hurts.
Where?
I want to do it.
Where, my belly? You can see it? I thought I took it.
Your second son, Josh Allen.
Oh! No, don't you do this. All right, now we...
Hey,
now I'm upset. What?
How good America was Josh Allen before Stephon Diggs showed up? Oh, wait.
Improving every single year. You ain't got to wait that long.
How good was Josh Allen before Stephon Diggs showed up? When Josh Allen got a bona fide number one, he turned into a MVP candidate.
Yep.
Candidate, if I'm saying out his
candidate.
But without Josh Allen, without Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen was struggling too, sir.
Oh, my God, yes, he was. Don't call that a struggle.
Yes, he was
Don't call
terrible.
that a struggle.
We were questioning him.
No,
we
you
were
weren't.
making
You
fun
were.
of the lack of ability for him to control his
I can't
arm
trust you.
strength. Give him a bona fide number one, and everything changes. Give Wentz a bona fide number one, and everything, sir, changes.
And it's weird, your logic right here. Did he have a number one in 2017?
No, sir.
So why do we have to give him a number one if he was the MVP candidate? Yeah, he was an MVP candidate without a number one. But now the reason he's not an MVP candidate is because he doesn't have a number one. Make that make sense.
I will. I will.
Stall.
That shows you. Ain't no stalling.
I will.
I don't need no notes. I don't even need a pen.
We have witnessed you with no notes for the last 10 minutes.
Carson Wentz is an overachiever that we have misconstrued.
Ooh, I like. Now
Here's the thing, big dog. So if you can throw for 4,000 yards, for 4,000 yards without a 500-yard receiver, you can be an MVP candidate without your leading receiver being a receiver. Wentz's leading receiver the year of his MVP candidacy was my dog, my friend, Zach Ertz.
Yeah. Tight end.
So maybe Carson Wentz was overachieving during the course of his first 3 to 4 years in Philly. Truly, those 3 years, 17, 18, 19, overachievement years. 33 touchdowns, 7 picks. 21 touchdowns, 7 picks. 27 touchdowns, 7 picks. We look at Carson Wentz and say, Carson Wentz ain't all that. You go out there with Greg Ward, a former quarterback at the University of Houston, as your wide receiver.
Here we go. That's
with
roster
Zach Ertz, a tight end. With Travis Fulgham, who was a practice squad guy in Detroit. Roster makes everything, big dog.
No, I thought that the great ones are the ones that can nullify the ones that can go out there and exceed not only expectations, but the adversity posed, whether it's by opponent or by roster. I thought the great ones were the ones that can say, I, through my play, through my production, will supersede any issues you present to me. I thought the great ones could do that. And Carson Wentz, you keep calling him an overachiever. Yes, what number draft choice was he? Number two
yes,
overall.
Yes, sir, he was.
And he was an overachiever. We had high expectations because we expected high results in production. We haven't consistently seen that. Let's just be real about it. Acho, 2 things I'm going to nail you down to the cross on. Please. One is you can't give me the premise that if you give him a number one receiver, he'll be great when you say he's been great without a number one receiver. And listen to this. You say that Carson Wentz is going to resurrect his career. But then you say he's an overachiever, and really, resurrection to you looks like he's a middle-of-the-pack quarterback. Wait a minute. You were number 2 overall choice. That's not middle of the pack. You were MVP candidate. That's not middle of the pack. You were a franchise quarterback given $128 million. That's not middle of the pack. But your resurrection is going to put you to middle of the pack, and we're supposed to be fine with that? You can't lower the bar after we start the high jump. It goes up, not down, Acho. Let's get it right.
You are being slow to listen and quick to speak. Instead of being quick to listen and slow to speak, I started this segment by saying Carson Wentz will complete his resurgence. Not he will resurge. Why? Because at the end of the 2020 season, we said Carson Wentz was like one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. Correct? In 2020.
He had one of the worst years. Not worst quarterback, but you can have a worst year.
Sure, I thought
you know how it goes.
I thought he was
my first year when I was I wasn't one of the worst DNs in the league. I was coming that way. I was heading there fast.
In my mind, I thought Carson Wentz was one of the worst quarterbacks in 2020 and had one of the worst.
One of the worst years. Okay.
Now, at the end of 2021, Carson Wentz is now in the middle of the pack and did not have near one of the worst years. Statistically speaking, he actually had one of the best years, but collectively the Colts had an average year. Carson Wentz went from one of the worst to now average.
Okay.
I said he will complete his resurgence because now I see Carson Wentz jolting and vaulting back into the top 10 of quarterback
Carson
play.
Wentz going to be top 10 at the end of the season? Never.
To be top 10, Carson Wentz has to take the Washington Commanders. God, dog, what, 3 names in 3 years? How you got so many names? I'm so done with Washington, but I'll continue. Carson Wentz going to have, I completely forgot my point. Carson Wentz going to have a top-flight defense,
Okay.
in Washington.
There you go.
He's going to have a top flight wide receiver. He will take Washington to the playoffs. First check to be a top flight quarterback. Do that. Now Carson Wentz, can you give me 30+ touchdowns or 10 or less interceptions? I think Carson Wentz can do that because he's thrown for 10 or less interceptions 3 times already in his career. 4 times out of 6 years. So can Carson Wentz be a top 10 quarterback? Yes. I can tell you this much, though. You can't be a top 10 quarterback without a top receiver. I can tell you that much. Because as we look at the top 10 quarterbacks, whether it is Joe Burrow, who had Jamar Chase, whether it is Matthew Stafford, who had Cooper Kupp, whether it is Kyler Murray, who had DeAndre Hopkins, whether it is Josh Allen, who had Stephon Diggs, whether it is Patrick Mahomes, who had Tyreek Hill, not even going to speak about Travis Kelce, whether it is Tom Brady, who had Mike Evans, whether it is Dak Prescott, who had Amari Cooper, oh, you don't like Amari Cooper, who had CeeDee Lamb, all of the quarterbacks in the top 10, Justin Herbert, Mike Williams has got a $60 million deal. Shout out to him.
Shout out.
Allen. All the quarterbacks in the top 10 have one thing in common. Not height, not weight, not speed, not color, not stature. One thing in common, a top-tier receiver. Finally, Wentz got a top-tier receiver.
Man, and it's crazy because I looked at his career and he was in the top 10 at one moment, and he didn't have a top receiver. I don't know how to explain it. You don't either.
Good.
Oh, yeah, well, stay that good. It's not good enough to just be good. You got to be consistently excellent. I got 2 points to make, maybe 4, maybe 8. It's interesting how he's going to be a top 10 quarterback, and he's going to win this division, you said?
No, make the playoffs.
Make the playoffs. Oh, okay, about to say. Because Dak is 9-1 against the Washington Football Commander Commodores. Dak Prescott is 9-1 against the boys, so you better stop. I haven't even really pinned him down like I can and talk about his intangibles or lack thereof. There was a challenge issue to him to say, hey, you know that guy we had at quarterback last year, Phillip Rivers? He kind of had 1 foot in, 1 foot out, even though he was committed. He was going to retire. We talked him out of retirement. He came back here. We made the playoffs. Carson, you're a young franchise quarterback reunited with your old OC. Can you do better than that? You know what Carson Wentz said? Hell no, I can't do better than that. Worse in terms of win-loss, worse in terms of completion percentage, worse in terms of passer rating, worse in terms of passer yards or attempt. Compared to Phillip Rivers, who was already retired, coaching a high school, said, okay, I'll give y'all 1 more year. Come on, man, stop with this. Let's talk about those intangibles, and this is my last point. When he bought everybody the offensive line shotguns, I said, oh, he one of them dudes. You know one of them dudes that buy gifts for themselves, but they give it to you? And I was like, why do you do that? I hate them dudes. You know what they all have in common? They some selfish little dudes. They some dudes that can only think through life by the way that they see themselves. Carson Wentz, he didn't pass the test in terms of the challenge of being a better quarterback than Phillip Rivers. He didn't lead that locker room to the point where they're like 27-7, and we still got to get rid of you. And now if you look at him, there's only been 1 great season. The rest has shown us that he's an underachiever, middle of the pack, using your words, quarterback who will resurrect himself back to being middle of the pack.